If I'm in my cursed era, you are in your JoJo era.
Hello and welcome to Ctrl Cosplay, a podcast of general conversation and absolute tomfoolery. We're your hosts, Siobhan and Lydia, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Nat of Cosplay Choreography.
Hello.
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 How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I go into work, so I'm not dealing too badly with the heat because I have aircon during the day.
The dream. The dream. Honestly. I swear today it was warmer in my flat than it was outside.
It's been pretty unbearable. I was going to say that's my favourite thing about AnimeCon was that it had air conditioning.
That powerful aircon as you walked into the hall. Just bam.
That was my favourite part of the con, was that one little brief wall of air conditioning as you entered. It was beautiful.
Were people just standing underneath it like, please?
Me, I was, because I came to see winter cosplays in a convention in June.
Like fool.
Like a fool.
Like a fool. We had fun though.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was very good. And Nat, you've got your prophecy cosplays at the moment.
Oh, yeah. So I did Panty from Panty and Stocking, which last year was one of my prophecy cosplays because I put it in my cos plans, and then a few days later they announced they were doing season 2. And then around the same sort of time, I was like, oh, I'll bring out Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw. I'll do her again. And then again, within a few days, they announced they were doing the remaster of that game. I was like, what?
My
so, yeah.
God.
There's also Death Note as well.
Yeah. Last year I cosplayed from the Death Note musical. And then this year, in August, we're going to see it in London because it's coming here. And I was like, what? So it continues.
That's what I mean. If you want something to get a reboot, get Nat to cosplay.
Oh my God,
it,
yeah.
Apparently so. It's happened too many times now for it to be a coincidence.
There's 3 times. Like, once is a coincidence. 3 times? No, that's something.
Yeah.
Time to cosplay a lottery ticket.
Oh, wish.
Cosplay as, like, a multimillionaire. Just, yeah.
Yeah.
Cosplay Elon Musk and then maybe
Oh,
you
no, it's not worth it.
Year.
Never worth it.
You don't want to own Twitter next year?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, so AnimeCon was very fun. Do you want to talk about your cosplays that you did at AnimeCon?
Yeah, so I was going to say I did Frog, which is meaningless to pretty much everyone. But, Frog is what I refer to my Jolene cosplay as, Jolene from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yeah, so I did her for the Saturday because she's a comfy cosplay. I've nearly always been too cold in her. So it's like a perfect June cosplay that works. She's not got much going on at the top, and then a jacket I can easily take off, and then it's a nice stretch, breathable fabric. So that's all good. And then, yeah, as I said, Sunday I was Panty from Panty and Stocking, which again is like I made it out of stretch fabric because I took it to a pole shoot, and it was fabric I just had around that I was going to make the Ahsoka headpiece from, and then was like, stuff that, I can't be able to make it, I'm going to commission it. So I had like 2 meters of this white stretch lycra just lying around that I could use. So yeah, it was pretty good for the heat, pretty comfy. It was all good, yeah.
So Jolene is one of your many JoJo cosplays, because you've done Dio, Giorno. You've done Dio twice because you've done part 1.
Part 1 and part 3, yeah.
Part 3, and then you've done Giorno, Johnny.
Cars,
and then a few different Jolenes.
Yeah, and then I've done Yasuho as well, who's part 8.
Yes, you have.
So I've cosplayed from every part except part 4. I'm sorry, part 4 lovers. It's just not for me.
What's wrong with part 4?
So me and my partner, we're not big into the it takes place in Morio storylines, which is part 4 and part 8. And part 8's okay. I know lots of people absolutely love part 8. For some people, it's their favourite part. For me, it's still part 7. I'm like, yes, my 2 cowboys just riding across America. They're where it's at. But yeah, part 4, I don't know. The stakes aren't massive. They're not going on some big epic adventure or anything. It's a lot more shenanigans, which I love. And I say to people, I'm like, part 4 is not my favourite JoJo part, but it's still my favourite anime, if that makes sense. So I would choose rewatching part 4 over rewatching any other anime that's out there because I just love JoJo. But it's not as good as some of the others for me.
As someone who has part 4 in their top 3, I'm just going to ignore that. But
it's fine. A lot of people do have part 4 very high up. I'm well aware we are the outliers here.
I feel like Kira is such a good villain, but that wasn't going to be my question. My question was going to be, do you feel like that's your main fandom? Like, would you say that you are a JoJo cosplayer? Like, that's what you're known for?
I'm not sure known for, because I have quite a small following, but I would say it's definitely one of the things that I mainly cosplay at the moment. So a few years ago, it definitely would have been Persona, because I have Elizabeth from Persona 3, and then I have about like 12 different Anne cosplays. I think I tried to count them at one point and just got confused. So it definitely would have been Persona, and then for a little bit in the middle there, a lot of Disney stuff going on. But yeah, I would say at the moment, the main thing I cosplay is JoJo. Like last year, every fourth post was a Jolene, and then within that, every fourth post was a Giorno, because I'm very sad. And where people some like to do rows or columns, I like to do diagonal. So if you go on my Instagram, yeah, last year the grid was diagonal Jolene and Giornos, because I just had so many. This year I've just decided I want more Ariel to feature, and I've done a lot of Ariel shoots, so Ariel is now the diagonal going across my feed.
I love the diagonal. I think that's such a fun
because it's
twist.
subtle and I don't have to worry about it too much, because every fourth post is quite easy to do. Like I can do 2 in a week, or I can do one every like 2-3 weeks, so yeah, that's quite good.
Not me now going on your Instagram going, is it every fourth? Oh, it is every fourth. Jesus.
Yeah, it's every fourth. I don't know why. I think it was a Giorno. I did it by accident, like the very first one, and I was like, oh no, I like this. And then yeah, it just kind of kept going. So yeah, now because Ariel was like such a big thing that I love, and I have got so many photos of it, I was like, yes, I'll do that.
So take us back to like early cosplay choreo. Where go take us back, like wind chimes of like nostalgia and.
God. So I recently made a like 10 decades of cosplay post. No, not 10 decades. Jesus Christ.
How old are you?
100 years. Yeah, I'm secretly a vampire. No, 10 years. 10 years, 1
That's the
decade.
episode title. I'm writing it down. I'm writing down the episode title now. Are you Dio? Are you a vampire?
But yeah, so a decade of cosplay, 10 years of cosplay. Because my first con that I went to was MCM London in 2013. And then yeah, so that first con, it was the end of my first year of uni. So I just bought a cosplay, which was Hysteria Alice. I got some boots from a random high street shop that were vaguely fitting. Got a wig from, again, a random high street shop. And then just kind of threw it together, did some terrible blood makeup, and then had 2 days at con, the Friday and the Saturday. And yeah, it was good. I had a great time. I enjoyed being in cosplay. And then the Sunday, me and my friends were just like, now we'll just have a roast dinner at Jack's parents instead. We can't bother to do a third day. And honestly, what a mood.
Yeah, that sounds great.
So it wasn't until kind of late 2015 I decided to try and make some stuff. One of the first, I guess, bigger props, if it's a prop, that I made was my Silent Hill nurse head. Yeah, I made that whole cosplay for like £8 because I bought a really, really cheap eBay nurse costume for the top and the little hat. And then I just bought the like plaster stuff off Amazon that you wet and then you can mold around things. And yeah, I made that head, and then I started trying to sew, which was an adventure, and I think still is. I don't really know what I'm doing, but somehow it works. And yeah, and then it's just been trying to make more and more things from there, to the point now I look at most stuff and I'm like, that seems doable, and is complete crap with so many bits to it. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's doable, right? It's doable. But
anything is doable.
yeah.
You just need to have time,
Anything,
confidence,
exactly.
and just the willingness to try.
Yeah.
Talking
exactly.
about your Silent Hill nurse, I have a question. Is that the weirdest thing you've put in a hoop for an aerial photo shoot? Or
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. I honestly, that was a last minute decision. I was like, I'll just shove her in the car. We're hiring out the studio for a few hours. I wasn't really sure what to take, and I was like, just the idea of this nurse being in the hoop is just very funny. Because I think still to this day, my most liked Instagram photo is me as Silent Hill nurse on the freaking Bodyline Studios swing. So it's just this like cute little photo, like one leg's kicked out, there's like flowers down the side of the swing. So I'm like, people clearly vibe with the juxtaposition of a kind of creepy cosplay and something more unusual or cute. So I took her on hoop and it was great. All the flexed feet, all the weird angles where usually it's lots of beautiful long lines and pointed toes. And I had fun doing like weird little head tilts and stuff. So yeah, it was great.
I remember in an aerial class once, one of my instructors, I was doing something and I couldn't quite get the move down because I don't have my splits. So I was kind of like in that halfway bit. and she was like, "Wow, you're just
Mm.
so good at making weird shapes. You're really good at weird shapes." And I was like, "Wow, thank you." Like,
Well, compliment.
don't mind. I don't want to be like this graceful, beautiful aerial person. No, I'm weird shapes. Thanks. That's the confidence boost I need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Weird shaped celery.
I was gonna say, I feel it's weird. Like, if you get the aerial move wrong, it does just look weird.
Wow. Sib as
Yeah.
well. Fine. You know what?
I don't know. Like, when you're like transitioning between moves, it's like it looks so awkward and painful, and then you get into the move, you're like, ah, there it is.
There it is. Yeah. Yeah, it is very odd. It's particularly on hoop, I feel, because it's not on silks, there's like lots of wrapping. So even if you are just like bent over more in a pike shape, like wrapping your leg or something, it still doesn't look that weird. Whereas on hoop, you're like, right, I got to grab this bit, and then I've got to, with my strength, force myself this way, like jam my shoulder blade into like the edge of the hoop. And yeah, it's just a lot more, what the hell are they doing? Are they meant to be doing that? Probably not.
I feel like that's why when you see aerial or like hoop performances, it's spinning because that hides a lot. Because it's spinning and like you don't see the wedge of the shoulder because it's at a different angle. By the time they've come back round, they're in the pose, and you're like, "Wow, that was so graceful." And it's like, no, it wasn't.
Yeah,
Watch that stat. It is not good.
I mean, the spin also means that, like, particularly if you're trying to film it, you hopefully get a good angle of what
Yeah.
you're doing. But yeah, the issue with doing a performance as well is that you'll time something, and when you first start learning it, you're like, oh god, this is never going to fit in the music. And then you can almost overtrain and you go too fast for the music.
Yeah.
Which I've definitely found doing my Death Note one last year. I was like, oh god, so down, so down.
So you do a lot of aerial cosplay and you do photo shoots and performances. What about doing aerial cosplay do you enjoy so much from doing normal cosplay?
Yeah, so I think it's just being able to join two of my passions together, which obviously I've had the name cosplay choreography since 2015, and that's mainly because at the time I didn't do as much dance, and it was something I really wanted to get back into. And I wanted to do sort of cosplay music videos that weren't the kind of ones that you have now where it's like, oh, cool pose, a bit of storytelling. I wanted it to be like, no, this is a dance number and there's lots of dancing. And I have done a few bits like that, but I feel like now I'm into aerial, which is something I've always wanted to try, always wanted to do, but it's something that's quite hard to find studios for, particularly a few years back. It's a lot easier now. But I feel that putting them together is just, they're both two things I really love, and I've always enjoyed doing more alternative cosplays and figuring out how I could transform a character's look and design into something that's completely different. And I feel you can just get some really cool, stunning photos on hoop or silks or whatever piece of equipment you're on that can both fit for the character or, in the case of the Silent Hill nurse, not fit, and just create a really interesting image that's just so different and unique. And I really love that.
Are there certain things you have to consider when like translating a costume onto hoop? Because I assume like some of the, I don't know, any pieces of armor or whatever, it probably
Yeah.
won't do as well.
Yeah, it's stretch. Stretch is the main thing. Like, you don't want it just popping a seam straight away. And I know for me, another weirdly hard thing is what you do about your feet.
Yeah.
So one of the first things I did was my Panther. So Anne from Persona 5. I did an aerial version of her, and she obviously has these massive boots. And at the time, I was like, oh, I don't want to take boots onto hoop, and most people who do take a shoe onto hoop, they have transferred over from pole, so they'll usually take a pleaser type boot, which is usually quite expensive, and I didn't really want this maroon pleaser boot that I'm never going to wear again. So instead of having a boot, I translated it into a thigh-high sock, because then I knew I'd be able to do all the moves I could do. It's a lot cheaper, economical, so yeah, it just worked a lot better for that. Wigs are one of the other things, which weirdly doing both aerial and underwater has like similar principles. It's just like pin it down and that's not moving. So yeah, which I accidentally during the winter wore a hat for one of my training sessions at circus, and I did this drop where you basically almost do like a forward somersault type movement, and my hat just yeeted. It was just gone to the nether, and I was like, whoops, sorry gang. So yeah, the forces you get and being upside down can obviously really make it move. Knowing how to pin it so that it doesn't move an inch is very helpful.
So what would you say is the main difference or the similarities, because you mentioned slightly there about wigs, of between underwater and aerial, and what draws you to both? Well, you kind of talked about what draws you to aerial, so what draws you underwater?
Ooh, underwater, I just love the kind of floatingness of it. There's a real word there. I can't brain it.
Zero gravity?
Yeah, the zero gravity of it. Because there's a lot of things that obviously you can't do just on the floor. There's a lot of things that you can kind of do in aerial, but not really. But being able to float and just be in almost a void is really cool. So I keep saying that I feel like I peaked with my Cars cosplay underwater. And I think that's because just I could do so many cool, interesting poses that I would never be able to do in any other setting. And they just look really cool. They look really dynamic and unusual. And even though at no point does he really go underwater or have anything really to do with water, there's no water motifs there. He's just got a cool flappy skirt and big hair. And I was like, yeah, that's it. He can go in the water. But yeah, he honestly made some of my favorite photos ever. And it was just such a fun time. I vibed really well with that. And yeah, it's just a freeing experience to be floating about in a big tank of water and just seeing what fun poses and stuff you can do.
The way you've done everything, like cosplay choreography, land, sea, and air.
Yeah, that could be your tagline.
Like you've covered, you're up in the air on the hoop, you're in the underwater, and then obviously on land for everything else.
Next is fire. When you're going to do
we have discussed maybe doing some kind of fire thing. I do Ida. She has fire stuff. So yeah,
Ooh,
one day.
Cool. One day. This summer. No, maybe.
The Fire Nation will attack.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Do you have a dream aerial or underwater or fire? do you have a dream land, earth, air or fire cosplay? Like money no object, like skill level no object. Like if you could have like a dream aerial or underwater shoot, what would it be? Like what character would it be?
Honestly, not really, because I know for years taking Aqua from Kingdom Hearts underwater was like the big dream. Because I know we like looked into it many years ago. We looked into it and we're like, oh god, it's too expensive, it's too far away, there's no way we'll ever be able to do an underwater shoot. And then we learned about tank space and how affordable it would be if we split it amongst ourselves and got organized, and we knew enough people and enough togs to make it happen. So for a long time that was my dream, Aqua underwater. And I love the photos I got with that. I keep being kind of tempted to do her again so my wig's not disappearing away from my forehead. But yeah, that was a big dream. And then I knew I wanted to take Giorno on a hoop shoot because the blue skies that K photos do was just incredible. And I knew he'd be really pretty there, especially the Renaissance edit. And then the same thing with taking Panty on the pink skies with the Angel Delight edit. So they were big, not big dreams, but they were big goals that I really wanted to hit and to make happen, and I've kind of done them already. I'm sure something else will come along. I think I would be really fun to take Vanar on a moon, on aerial moon.
Oh, that would be really pretty.
That'd be so
good. It'd be very pretty. But I haven't made her yet, and I'm not sure if I'd try to do an alternate version or if I'd just faff with the robes being there. But yeah, and at some point maybe I will do that.
I have a very cursed moon aerial hoop idea that I really want to do. So next time we go to the aerial shoot and do moon, let me know, because I have a very cursed, because I'm in my cursed era. If I'm in my cursed era, you are in your JoJo era.
Yeah, I've been in my JoJo era for years because I first started making Dio in, I think, 2016. So, or was it 2015? No, it must have been 2016. So yeah, that's a solid few years of the JoJo just being in there. But I keep saying to people that I'm not sure what I'm going to cosplay from JoJo next, or if I'll just keep redoing stuff, which is why lots of random things that have been way down my cosplans list are maybe coming to the surface for next year. Because for the past however many years, since I got introduced to JoJo, there's always been more JoJo. There's been new anime and there's been all the manga for me to catch up on. And I caught up with part 8 last year, and I'm now reading part 9 as it comes out. So yeah, I'm like, I'm not really sure what I would cosplay from JoJo next, or if I start hitting random other characters from it to cosplay.
Something from part 4?
No,
maybe?
no. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I know part 3 Dio is on my plans for next year because yeah, it was one of the first cosplays they ever made, and I'm like, I could do that much better now.
How did you get into JoJo? Because I don't really put you down as like a big anime watcher, even though you do, because you watch quite a lot of anime. But what made you start watching JoJo?
Yeah, I don't watch much anime at all. I basically, someone will tell me this one's good, and then I might start watching and I might not. It's honestly probably a 20-80 split to watch it to not watch it. Part 1, I think, came out honestly close to a decade ago. I think that anime, because I think we started watching the Phantom Blood series at our halls at uni. So it was Jack that showed it to me, and then we watched that as it came out, and then we watched part 2. Part 3, I didn't really watch as much as it came out. I kind of let it all gather up, and then when it was finished, I binged through it. And then, yeah, ever since we've just kind of watched it as it came out. And then it was around the end of part 5 that anime was building up to finish. And I was like, it's another 4 weeks. I need to know what happens right now. And so I read the end of part 5, and then I just kind of read through the rest of it until, yeah, it took me until last year to catch up because I had bits where I stopped and bits where I read loads. But yeah, it's great. I just really love it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do.
I always say I'm going to watch it one day, and I'm like, I'll do that. And then I realise how much there is, and I'm like, do I want to start this task?
Yeah, I mean, you can do part 1 and then part 2 as 2 quite small little chunks. And then it's part 3 that takes forever.
Oh.
But yeah, and then the rest are just kind of, they're not too long, but they're still a bit of commitment because they're not a short, snappy 12-episode watch. They are a lot longer. But yeah, I obviously will definitely tell you to watch it.
Yeah. One day. I mean, you managed to get me to play Final Fantasy for at least a week.
I did, and that's always a win. Always a win.
So we mentioned earlier that you went to Anime Con, which was the first of its kind, I believe.
Yep.
Are there any other conventions and anything you're looking forward to, or?
Yeah, so I only have 2 more events, I guess, for this year. So one of them will be MCM Birmingham, weirdly in December, which is a bit odd. I have no idea what I'm going to wear. Yeah. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to go along and vibe, probably rewear some stuff.
You know what you're going to wear? You're going to wear Sexy Dio.
Oh, I will freeze! Oh
God, yeah, you will, especially in December.
I do have my big gold fur coat that has saved me 2 cos expos in a row. So I could take that and then have a Anastasia throw it on the ground moment.
You see, there's so many reasons for you to do this.
There are. Yeah, I mean, maybe. So then we can be matching. We could be a cute little duo. We'll see. And then we get the pole with the stop sign. It could be great. But
yeah, you see, it's all coming together.
Yeah, I'd only have November to work on it is the thing. So I'm still unsure. We'll see how it goes.
You have a black leotard. I will buy you some yellow straps.
Perfect. Easy peasy. Yeah, just make it like I don't even know what I'd do. Maybe some kind of like little flared skirt and a little crop jacket. Because the Jotaro you have has a little crop jacket, so it makes sense.
Yeah, he has a little crop jacket.
Yeah, just little crop jackets. So we're not quite freezing to death on our arms, at least.
You see, it's all coming together.
Yeah, but yeah, the main event for the rest of this year, that is kind of a con, kind of not, is the Final Fantasy XIV Fan Fest, which I'm super lucky to be going to, and I'm very excited. So yeah, that's the main big plan for the rest of the year.
Yeah, because they've got a very... it's not like NCM where you just log in, you buy a ticket. It's got its own
This
system.
year was a lottery that I know a lot of people weren't happy about, and I think Europe is the smallest one, so it's a whole thing about, oh, maybe they should have sold more tickets, maybe they should have done this or that. But having been to Star Wars Celebration, I fully get why they do want to keep it smaller, because I went to the Fan Fest back in 2019, and it was really great being able to go play stuff and try out all the games and not feel like you're waiting too long. And because it was just one kind of big venue with just the one hall, you could still kind of hear and see what was going on the main panel, even if you weren't kind of in the sectioned off panel bit. So that was really good. Whereas at Star Wars Celebration, whilst it was great, you had to queue up for ages to go to some of the panels if you were unlucky and didn't get a lottery to some of them. And then even the ones that didn't have a lottery, there was still lots of queuing, and it was just super busy. And I'm like, yeah, I'm glad FanFest isn't this. It's more a smaller controlled thing. So yeah, I'm excited. We'll see how it is. It's the first one they've done, as I said, since 2019. The Vegas one for North America comes up next month, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, I'm just excited about that because 14 is my favorite game ever. I just love it, and I can't wait to see what they announce. And I'm ready to be sat there in whatever cosplay I've made and then see the same character in a completely new cosplay, because that's what happened. That's what happened. I finished my white jacket Y'shtola that she wears in Heavenswood and Stormblood, sat down, having been wearing it for less than an hour, and then the very first thing is a trailer with her in a new outfit, and I'm like, well, gonna have to make that now, aren't I?
They knew you were coming. They're like, haha, I see this.
Yeah.
I did, yeah. So I think she technically should get a new outfit with 7.0. So there could be another Y'shtola in my future, but I'm not sure. We will find out.
More pleats.
More pleats. Oh,
More pleats.
God.
More
Yoshi P, if there could be no pleats on the next one, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. It's all stretch and easy.
Yeah, stretch. I'm surprised you didn't take the opportunity then to ask if we'd heard of the critically acclaimed MMO
RPG.
You didn't.
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, you didn't do.
No,
I was waiting.
You're waiting for it, but no.
Yeah,
No, that's been around for so long now. I always forget. But, yeah.
Speaking of military pleats, which will be my excellent segue into my next question. You wore white coat Y'shtola, well, military pleat Y'shtola, whichever version of that Y'shtola is called. You performed with her at Cos Expo, one of the first Cos Expos. Was that your first con performance?
So that was 2019. No, I think I'd done a couple, mainly with you guys before. I don't know if Reading Con performance counts, but I'd done a couple of them.
I did forget about Reading.
Yeah.
Reading
a few of our
Which you won?
I won
2 or 3.
Yeah.
Row?
I think it was at least twice, because there was the Disney Christmas outfits, and then there was me and Anna, or was I Elsa? I don't know. An Anna and Elsa pair as vampires doing a dance to the very first song that plays in Frozen, and that was cool. So we won that. But yeah, and then we did the Mercy Widowmaker cursed performance, which we practiced it the night before in the hotel, but it was fun. I had a good time. And I also took Ladybug 2B on stage for walk-on show thing. So, but yeah, I really like the full skip performance things, which is obviously why I did it again the first chance I could at Cos Expo with the Jolene whipped into shape performance.
Which was incredible.
That was very fun.
So good.
Yeah.
It was really good. Yes, I was going to ask you, what do you like about performing in masquerade? They're still masquerades, yeah? What do you enjoy about performing in masquerades and putting a performance together? How do you even go about doing that?
How do I go about doing that? Oh, God. I don't know. It's the same with some aerial stuff. I just kind of think if I can find a song that fits, it just kind of forms in my head as I listen to it, which is not helpful at all to anyone else whose brain doesn't do that for them. But yeah, but for me, I knew... So I was already planning on cosplaying Jolene, and then I was like, oh, it'd be quite cool to maybe do a performance as her, because I know she'd be quite a lot of work, so it would be a good way to show off the cosplay. And it was around the time that we got, me and my friends got a bit more into musicals. We started trying to listen to albums and stuff together. And yeah, I came across the Legally Blonde soundtrack again. I'd already seen it with my mum when it toured ages ago. And I was like, wait, Whipped into Shape is perfect. It's this buff woman singing about, just batter this man if he's causing you trouble with your sick skipping rope, and then being in prison. And I'm like, great, that fits Jolene. So yeah, so I'd actually, I think way back in 2020, started planning it, and it was a old school friend that did the recording for it. So I'd paid her back in 2020. She'd recorded it. I was all ready to go. This was in January sometime. I started editing it. I'd put it all together, made half the cosplay, and then obviously March 2020 happened. We had time skip. So then last year I finally got to actually do it, and it was just so much fun. I loved practicing it, and then getting to perform it on the day is just such a rush, and it's so much fun. For anyone who has ever performed, you always have that wave of anxiety before, and then afterwards you just full of such adrenaline. You're like, I want to do it again. And you then remember that part and you don't remember that anxiety before. And then you're there doing it again. Like, why did I do this? But then afterwards, you're like, oh, that's why I did it. That's why.
Yeah.
I always find I'm the opposite with theatre.
Ah.
I'm like excited to do it, and then I finish going, what have I
done? Post-performance sads.
Yeah.
You taught yourself trick skipping for that, right? You hadn't done it, but it wasn't a skill you had. You were like, no, I'm gonna learn this.
I don't think I'd picked up a skipping rope properly since maybe like primary school. So maybe I was like 10 or something when I'd last properly skipped. So yeah, so I basically went to the gym near me. I started out just trying to skip for as long as I could to work on some stamina. And then as a kid, I could always do, I don't even know what it's called, but it's the one where you cross your arms as you do a skip. And then it like each side of the skipping rope's the other side of your body basically, but it still goes over you in a regular arc. And so I learned that. And yeah, and then it was a lot of accidentally hitting myself with the end of the rope. But we got there. I figured it out. Weirdly, the hardest part to choreograph was a bit kind of in the middle, where I was like, I'm not going to have the rope up yet because it just doesn't work. And I've thrown the handcuffs aside. So yeah, that bit was a bit awkward, but the rest of it was good. I swapped out the rope for some handcuffs at the leg kicky up bits because I tried to learn how to do, I don't even know what it is, but they swing the rope and then somehow they pass it from one hand to the other under their legs while still making the skipping rope go in a beautiful arc around. And I tried it and I kept hitting myself and I was like, you know what, this is not worth it. I've only got like a couple months. I could learn it, but I don't really want to. So we swapped that out for some handcuffs and I feel like that worked just as well. It got a cheer on the day. So yeah.
So did you learn the actual choreography from the musical?
So I think parts of it, so the like leg kicks that I do, I think are the same leg kicks. But I watched a couple of different versions that are on YouTube, just like random slime tutorial captures of it. And I basically took bits that I really liked and then just kind of did my own thing with them. Because there are some where they kind of got an angle with their feet slightly wide apart, and I know that for some performances they're able to do a move where you jump and then the rope goes under you twice, but the rope I'd picked up because it said it was good for beginners and also stamina and health and stuff, it's slightly thicker because it's a weighted rope, so I just couldn't quite get like it to go under me twice, because again I could probably have gotten there, but I was like, no, I can't really be bothered. I was still like doing all my aerial stuff, I was still crunching on Jolene, so I was like, for the time and the effort for what it's going to get me, it's just not worth that much more.
I really enjoyed the UV aspect of that performance.
The UV aspect was an unexpected bonus.
It was. You came back from rehearsal like, oh!
I did, yeah. So Cosplay had a really nice thing where on the Friday, if you were performing on the Saturday, you could go in and basically run it through on stage, sort out your lighting. And it wasn't even on mine. I saw on someone else's they had this UV and I was like, oh my God. And I knew by this point my lipstick glowed. And I was like, there are white lines, that'll probably glow as well. So I went up to the little lighting tech booth bit and I was like, can you add the UV light on this one bit of mine? And yeah, it worked great. I was so happy with it. I was like, I glow.
There was an audible gasp
Perfect.
in the audience.
Perfect. That's what we love.
Because we were standing at the back. Well, I was. I think Lydia was further in the crowd. And I just remember standing there and it hit the UV. And like, I think, did you have the board up at that point?
Yeah, I did.
And I just remember like, and then just like an intake. And we're like, yes.
You opened the show and like, what a way to open it.
God.
Right?
Yeah.
With like high energy.
RIP anyone else following.
It was such a good opening act of like, anything I've ever seen, because it was just so great.
Yay. Yeah, I had a great time. I remember during pre-judging, I had a little like sample of like a bit that I'd cut off of the blue stretch with the white stretch, like spider web pattern sewn over it, and I showed it to them like, oh, I wanted it to be at a stretch, so this is the technique I've used, blah blah blah. And then I saw one of the judges afterwards and he was like, yeah, I really see why it had to be stretched. And I was like, yeah, you see now, because that was one of the things that I struggled with my Jolene, because a lot of cosplayers use vinyl or they use puff paint to kind of do the lines, and I'm like, that's all well and good, but if I'm doing high kicks and like even just mad JoJo poses, I don't really trust the stretch vinyl to be able to stretch in like all 4 directions and still look good and all that sort of stuff. So it's like the most durable way would be for the lines to be the same material as the base fabric. So yeah, many hours of cutting out and sewing down the edge of every line later, and we had a Jolene I can high kick in.
And what a high kick. There's that great photo of you where you're
Oh my
pointing
God.
at your
I love
foot.
that photo so much. I'm just like, oh, a foot. There it is. It's near my head. There. Yeah, I love that photo so much. It's great.
Who took that? Because it's a great photo, but I can't
Oh,
remember who
it's
took
Mike
it.
someone. Mike Burnage Photography took that. So shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike and his excellent timing to get.
Yeah, I think he was the official
Yeah.
like stage tog, because I think they all got shared on the Cos Expo page. So yeah.
So now that Cos Expo is sadly not happening in 2024, but did you have performance plans? Like, do you have more plans for next year, what you want to put together again? Because I think you've said you want to do another aerial performance and you're working on that, but like at a con, obviously you can't really perform aerial at a con, sadly. But is there anything like that you're thinking of?
Yeah. I mean, one year I'll find a con that I'll be like, let me rig this from the ceiling. Yeah. But yeah, so the next like kind of performance I want to try to do is a Vanar one, which I've kind of had in mind, but it would be a lot of effort because I'd effectively have to make 2 versions of the costume, and then it would effectively be like a rip away reveal type deal. So it's just a lot of brain and thinking it through, and I currently haven't even made her to begin with. So I'll make her, see how difficult it is, and then might attempt that for another con sometime. But yeah, it's not something I'm 100% sold on, but at some point it would be cool to do.
I am sure one of the new hotel cons had a thing in their masquerade rules where they mentioned
They
aerial.
did. I think it was HotaroCon, because I think I was looking it up and I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen. Like, I definitely think that there is a hotel con, which is kind of a new thing that's come to the UK. It's big in America, I think, hotel cons, but they're slowly becoming things in the UK. I'm sure they mentioned it. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Who knows?
What, isn't they'd have it available before performances, or it's just there
I
for
think like
people
if you
try
wanted
it
to
out,
perform
or-
with it, you could.
You've done aerial and you've done tank. You've also done
Yes.
aerial in the tank. How much more
Oh
difficult?
no, it's
or
so
is it
difficult
just the
because
same?
you don't realize how much gravity helps and hinders you in aerial. So even like you can't even just sit on the hoop underwater without like pushing yourself down. Whereas obviously a hoop that's just out in the air, you just sit on it and you're sat. Like, so there's a lot of things like that where I'm like, oh, I'm floating. I wouldn't usually be floating, but I am. But I did find it was very helpful for staying underwater for longer, being able to get into the exact right pose. Then like I was doing Leo at the time, so I had this dumb little like collar flappy bit that kept getting in my face. So being able to be like, oh, I'm in this pose and I'm in this pose for a while gave me time to try and lay that flat, have time to move my hands and my wig everywhere that I needed to. So yeah, it was quite nice being underwater and then having the hoop to kind of help position you just right.
How did you find getting into position without running out of air? Because obviously, when you're on a normal hoop, you can take all the time in the world to get into that pose. Whereas underwater, you're kind of like at a limit. So did you find that easier or harder? Like, was that a struggle?
I don't know. I didn't find it that hard because I feel like I got into. I wasn't really going in like, oh, I'll do this exact hoop move. I was like, oh, I'll try this vague approximation of a hoop move and just see how it feels and hope it looks okay. So I wasn't really trying to get into anything that specific. So I think that helped. And then honestly, the hoop ones was the longest time I stayed down because I wasn't floating, I wasn't worrying too much. I could just kind of hold it. So I think I almost had as much time as I needed to get into it and then hold it. And then I could just be there for as long as it took for me to be like, no, I really need a breath now. We're getting back up. Give me the air. It's not what we
and
want.
suffocation.
Not what we want.
I mean, you're also
Yeah.
limited by the size of the tank as well, because like trying to do like underhangs are
So yeah, you
impossible
can't do
and things
any
like that.
hanging beneath it. You can't do any of the strop stuff, which is if you're like above the hoop on the strop that's holding it up. One of my favorite moves, I think a lot of people call scary splits, which is basically where you have one foot on the bottom of the hoop and then you have your hands on the top and then you effectively feed your leg between your hands, and then you end up in a splits, and the hoop tilts with your weight obviously going back, and that just no chance. Not doing that at all in the tank. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I think there was some cool upside down stuff that I did, because it's just easier to kind of position yourself upside down if you've got this big metal ring to pull and push against and stuff.
Would you ever do it on the rain floor? Because I know they have that
Ooh,
available.
I think I would, yeah. Doing it on the rain floor would more be a question of what I'd wear for it. Because yeah, I'm just not really sure. And I definitely want to make sure that whatever I wore didn't impact my grip or how I felt comfort wise on the hoop. Because if it's wet anyway, I don't want to be adding gloves or anything like that to it.
Yeah, it adds a layer of safety concerns.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, gloves on the hoop are not the one.
How many times have we cut your gloves now?
A lot of times. Apart from the time I specifically made gloves, because I think you did that first, right, Nat? You made aerial gloves.
I know Giorno has some, yeah.
Yeah, I think you made them, and I was like, that's so smart. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I stole that idea from you.
It's fine. Sharing is caring.
Yeah. You don't gatekeep in this community. Well, in this circle.
You haven't talked about your best aerial cosplay, which I think is your best aerial cosplay.
Ooh.
Which was when you did Hinata from Haikyuu.
Somehow I knew you were going to say that.
The little orange boy. I mean, that was fun. I will say it's probably the comfiest aerial outfit I've ever worn, because it's just volleyball jerseys. Doing doubles was so much fun. I loved that. It was great.
Next on the list is triples.
Oh my god.
Now that Clara's
Get
learning...
Clara in. Yeah. We'll
top, middle, bottom. Let's go.
Yeah, I think at my circus we have tried to see how many people we can get on a hoop for like a group shot. If it's like Christmas or something, with like group photo. And yeah, 4 is doable. 5 is where it gets a bit much.
I mean, isn't your other half also learning a hoop?
He is, yeah, he is slowly learning. So he only started in December. So yeah, there's our 4.
That's it.
What would you do? What would be your 3 or your 4 that you'd want to
Oh my god.
for photos?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tricky one now.
Oh my god, what a choice.
See, my issue is I don't really do groups anyway. More because I'm like, I'm passionate about this thing. I'm gonna go make it. Bye.
When in doubt, frog.
When in doubt, frog. Yeah, exactly. You're all Muppets, and I'm just like, no. I'd be this frog, but not Kermit Frog, another frog. Yeah, I don't know what I'd do.
Do you know what'd be really cool? Is if you did the Powerpuff Girls with Professor Utonium.
Oh my god.
That would be really cute.
There we go. Lock it in.
That's it.
I mean, we have already done Bubbles and Blossom before, so I mean, it's right there. And they just be... I've got a pink leotard, you've got a blue leotard, we could get Clara a green one, and...
That's it.
Yeah, it would work. It would be perfect.
She'd make a great Buttercup.
She would, yeah.
That's such a good idea.
That would be fair. There we go, our trio. With a possible 4th.
My brain's already editing in my head, because even if you did solo shots, you could edit them side by side.
Oh my god. Well, we need to tell Clara this happening next year sometime.
That's it. Yeah, stay tuned for that, jeez. Oh my god. Also, I'm surprised no one's done Ariel and Ariel.
I have seen people do mermaid tails in hoop before, but I feel like it must be very difficult to not be able to use your legs.
Oh god, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I think you need to be able to effectively like invert and hook on without the use of your feet, which I like straddling on, so I'm like, well, that's not happening in a mermaid tail. Not getting on that way.
But she has human outfits.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never cosplayed Ariel anyway, so she's not a big draw for me. I'm sure someone out there will do it at some point.
Yeah, if you're listening and you've done that, please send it to us, because I want to see it.
Yes.
It would be very cool to do the sail dress on silks.
Oh, that would be cool.
Oh, yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Like all tangled up.
Yeah.
We haven't really talked about silks, because you also do silks, and we haven't really talked about them.
Yeah, so it's because silks is, so like a couple of the places, I think I've done 2 silk shoots now. And my first ever one was as just me. Oh, they were both as just me. No, never mind. Yeah. So the 2 I've done have been just me, because I don't know. I think silks is a lot harder, because I personally don't really like doing silks with anything on my feet, which means I can't have any socks or anything, on, and a couple of the things that I would choose to take on silks for the shoots that I did have available, they had socks, and I was like, that's a whole other layer. If I'm trying to hold a pose for a long time, I don't want to be slipping because my feet have no grip. But yeah, I love silks. Silks is the main thing I train at the moment. I went on Hoop a couple of weeks ago, and it was the first time I'd been on since February because silks is the thing that I train weekly and that I just enjoy the most. So one day I'll do another silks photo shoot actually as a character, but for now it's just been as me.
You vaguely did Elsa.
Oh, I did vaguely do Elsa. I'd forgotten about that. Elsa and was it a raven or Mercy? It was something else. Yeah, on that shoot we did.
Yes,
Yeah.
I want to say Raven.
Raven.
I mean, you've also done your performances.
So last year in November, I did my first ever silks performance actually, and I did it to They're Only Human from the Death Note musical, as you mentioned earlier. And for that, I did a half black and half white outfit, which I had to crunch a bit, so it wasn't quite how I wanted it to be, but it worked well in the end. And I basically had choreographed bits of the routine, knowing that I was going to be half and half. So for those who don't know the song, it's a duet between Rem, who's obviously a female vocalist, and Ryuk, who's a male vocalist, and they kind of sing about, God, these silly humans, why they like this. And so for some of the Rem lines, I made sure that any like flounces, flourishes with my arms was done on the white half of the outfit, and then any of Ryuk's lines were done with the black half of the outfit. So that was a fun like added element of choreographing it as I went. And I know one of the first times I was like, right, today I'm going to run the performance through all the way. I literally got like scraps of fabric and just tied them around each wrist so I knew which side was which and could look back. Yeah, so I could look back at the video and be like, oh yeah, that was correct. And that side was that. And yeah, so that was very helpful. I was
That's
just,
very
oh, what am I doing? So yeah, even the very first climb, I like lean out to the left and then go round and then lean out to the right. So like they had to be the correct way round and stuff. So yeah.
Oh, could you imagine if you didn't think about it, you choreographed it and made the outfit, then it was the wrong way round?
Yeah, if I made it the wrong way around, I had to like fully find a half black, half white wig that was the right way round as well, because half of them were the wrong way round, and I was like, oh no. But yeah, we got there in the end, and it all matched and it all worked, and it was great, and I was very happy.
I was going to say you did a crossover of JoJo and Legally Blonde.
Yeah.
And then you did a crossover of Death Note, but Death Note wasn't a crossover. Death Note was the character. Because I was going to ask what your next anime musical crossover was, but you've only done one. So
yeah, I have. Although I saw this one piece of art, I'm like never going to find it again. But I found this one piece of art that it had the Legally Blonde poster, and then they'd changed the title to be Illegally Blonde, and then they'd photoshopped Giorno to be Elle Woods. And the idea of that just really cracked me up. So if I do buy a pink suit to wear to Barbie, I'm like, yeah, I'll just shove on the Giorno wig with that at some point and job done.
Like, I mean, you just wear a pink suit.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the blue suit, so why not have a pink one?
Yeah, this is true. I love the blue suit. Such a vibe.
Great. Would you ever choreograph like a group project? I know how much our friends love being choreographed.
Absolutely. I know years ago, just like actually years ago, I really wanted to do a like JoJo performance of some kind. And up there, oh, actually, yeah, that is a musical anime cosplay crossover thing that I've wanted to do for ages. Dio, and Dio as the Heathers. And
oh my god.
Doing a candy store like music video thing with just them, because the idea just it cracks me up so much, and the colors even work. Like part 1 Dio is red, part 3 Dio is yellow, and then Diego is kind of like a teal, but I'm like, that's close enough to green. It works, it's fine.
You say the word and I'm ready to be Heather Diego. Like, you just give me the date.
We just need one other. We just need a third person.
Yeah, if you cosplay Dio and you like Heathers at Cosplay Choreo now.
Hit me up. Yeah, because I keep being tempted to be like, how would we do it? Would we be their full outfits or part of the outfit? And part of me thinks it'd be really funny to just have most of their outfits for the top half, but then a plaid skirt in the right color for like the bottom half.
Amazing.
And yeah, I did at one point debate trying to just do it myself, but because I would want to like go to a studio and try to like properly film it and have each person on a different set and then all three together for like a dance bit for the chorus. I'm like, that would be impossible. I'd have to learn how to like edit myself in like around my set, and I'm like, no, absolutely not. I do not have the time or the patience.
Which Dio would you do? What Dio are we looking for is what I'm asking.
See, so I think I would want to, I'm sorry, I would want to be Red Dio.
Yeah,
so I
that's
want to be
the
main.
You got to be Heather Chandler.
Yeah. Like, even though in actual Heather's, the little yellow one, she speaks to me. She's a little blonde. She's short. She's a cheerleader. She has her emotional lifeboat song. It's a vibe. Lifeboat is another one that I'd love to do a hoop routine to.
If you are a part 3 Dio,
Yeah.
and you want to wear a plaid skirt, come speak
Let me
to
know.
Yeah.
That's it.
We'll do it.
I'm surprised because we've got another sort of dancer in our friendship group as well. I'm surprised you and Colbert have not joined forces.
We should. One day we should. I think it's because we're like, I've never really done more like Charleston-y swing stuff. But yeah, one day, maybe. If we can find something that works for the two of us and she can teach me some of her ways.
We were saying at Anime Con about alternate universe Nat, who years ago, instead of, I guess, getting into JoJo, got into K-pop dance routines. Because I'm so surprised that isn't your thing, because you love dance.
Honestly, yeah, now I think about it.
Yeah. I love it so much. I see it. We saw like a troop of them there at Con. And I was like, oh, I love this so much. And I think it's just because I don't listen to K-pop, as it's just not something that I've ever wanted to do. Like, I love the songs that do come across my way, but I don't really listen to music as a lot of people do. Like, I won't sit down and listen to an album. If a song plays in a game, or I just end up listening to it on the radio and I'm like, oh, that's cool, then I will add it to my playlist. But yeah, listening to songs isn't a hobby, I guess you could say. So I've never gone out of my way to learn the songs, then be like, I want to learn this dance right now. I guess KDA stuff is the closest I've come, because I love a lot of that stuff. I'm like, one day, if there's a K-pop troupe in Nottingham that I don't know about, and it happens to have a training session on the one day of the week that I'm free, then who knows? Maybe.
It'll typically be the one day or not.
It would be, yeah.
It'd be like Sunday evening, and you'd be like,
no, my break time. Yeah, I know a lot of dance stuff always clashes with silks, and I'm like, you cannot replace my silk class. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. One day I'll just like bash out a dance, because I love that people. We saw it at the this random little silent disco that was at Anime Con. There were like a few songs that came on.
I want more cons to have silent discos, because I
sounds great.
It was so much fun. But yeah, but just like every song, there was at least one or two people there that just knew every move. And like, they weren't going like full out, but they'd be there with like little Vogue hand movements and the head snaps and stuff. And I was like, yes, this is incredible. So yeah, one day.
One day, but not today.
Not today.
I've got a question though, because you've done performances outside of conventions, apart from like Cos Expo. But I've never seen you. Have you ever done like MCM's Big Masquerade, or you want to go to like one of the big, competitions or anything?
Yeah,
like that?
I've been tempted by the MCM ones, but I think they've now changed their rules so they're not as like performance based.
There is no performance category now.
Gross.
Yeah, whereas for me, it's always like the performance is what kind of drives me, because obviously I want my cosplay to be good and I want it to be a decent standard and all of that, but just walking out, hitting a few poses and walking back, I don't know, it doesn't light a fire like I'm going to perform as this character, I'm going to do this cool like epic moment or this like fun routine and stuff. So yeah, just having a walk on doesn't hit the same. And I know I kind of looked into it a little while back, and a lot of the like bigger stuff, one has always been like above my craft level. It's way too far. And two, a lot of them are duos. So like the World Cosplay Summit is duos, and lots of other things are always duos. So I'm like, I not only would I have to like increase my skill, and then have to find someone also willing to put in all that time and all that effort, and then meet up and plan something and do this and do that. And I'm like, right now it's just not something I have the energy for to kind of pursue, but maybe one day. And I know there are some that are just for individual entries, but Yeah, not at the moment. Especially not if they've not got a performance.
I guess that's what the two hotel cons that we were mentioning earlier, HotaruCon and KokoroCon, do have performance categories.
Yeah.
So there's something, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for your next choreography to be like lightsaber choreography though.
Don't. I keep seeing people, because obviously like people do learn how to like twirl them and stuff. The sabers I have, I think, are slightly too thick. They're not designed to be dueling sabers, so it's then an additional cost to try and get more. But I would be able to go to my circus studio and like practice if I wanted to. But yeah, and like one day that'd be really cool to do. I'd also want to learn. There's a gymnastic move called an aerial, which is just confusing, but it's basically a no-handed cartwheel. And I'm like, if I could one day go to a gym and just go to a tumbling class and just be like, hello, I just want to learn this. Please help me over months learn how to do this.
Just one thing, please.
But yeah,
just the one thing.
Just the one thing, yeah. Because I'm like, if I could do that as Ahsoka, that would be incredible.
That would be so good.
Just like flip towards someone, like, hello there.
That's one of those really cool like party trick things where you can be like, what's your party trick? I can do this, and then you just bash. I mean, doing the splits is also up there with like, I can do this, but yeah. So you said that you don't really want to focus on doing duo masquerades because that's a lot of effort and things like that you don't have the kind of passion for at the moment. But you have done, or you are planning to do, kind of more online collaborations. So you have the aerobics one coming up. Would that be something you're interested in doing, like launching yourself and getting people to do?
Instead of relying on other people to be up to a similar standard you for duos, it'd be, online collaborations might be the way forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of online collab stuff. So I did a JoJo Christmas one a little while ago, and we've got a like aerobics 80s one coming up. And I think they're really cute and fun. But yeah, they're great and they're fun. But I think for me, I do much prefer, because I do love the like performance aspect, and I really love the like audience feedback. Because I did back in, I think it must have been late 2021, we did a Zoom performance at my aerial studio. So we basically had the studio set up with the lights and everything, and they had a couple of cameras filming it, and then they streamed it over Zoom for anyone who wanted to watch. And it was great getting to perform, and I love the video I have of that. But it just wasn't the same as being physically in front of an audience and hearing like the claps and the cheers, and as you said, any like gasps of breath or anything like that. Like, it just really makes a difference having people live and they're physically in front of you. So though I would love to do more online stuff and more collabs, I don't think it's something I would want to organize myself and put all that much time into, because it is a big time commitment. And I love the people that organize all of these things, and bless them for putting in that time. But yeah, I'm so busy with my 12 billion hobbies. And it's just not something at the moment that I have enough passion for a specific thing to be like, yes, I'll do that. Because I feel like if you don't have the passion there, then you're just going to let down everyone in the group because you're not going to do it justice.
I was going to ask a follow-up question, but you kind of answered it in that spiel just there. Which is like, because you enjoy dancing and performing so much, I'm surprised you've not jumped on to like the cosplay sort of TikTok dance scene in a sense, like that kind of performance. But like you say, it's just not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. And like, I don't really use TikTok. Like, I have it and I look at it now and again. But I feel like by the time a dance has come and gone, I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, it was from like months ago. So yeah, I feel like maybe if I was slightly younger, more of a Zoomer, then I might have. But yeah, at the moment, I think it's because I think up a video idea and then I let it stew. Like my Ahsoka one took so long. And I do love editing video and I really enjoy putting stuff together. But lots of my ideas are more, I guess, YouTube focused, if I was to put it one way or the other, where they're more like long form and it is a bit more cinematic's not quite the right word because I am just filming on my phone, but they're more like landscape and like storyteller rather than here's a dance that we're doing, have at it. Like
that's understandable. Just here's what's trending currently.
Yeah, I did do one. There was one that I did as Leo at Brum last year, and that's only because I saw it like 2 days before con. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. Why not?
You two also did one at Bradgate.
Oh my god, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a 14 dance. So that wasn't trending or anything. That was just the Mandeville dance, because the Mandeville dance is the meme dance from 14. So just
There
everyone
was the
knows it.
first part that was kind of trending, and then we added the Mandeville on the end of
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. See, my brain just went to the 14 bit. Yeah, we did do that. Yeah.
Before we go, Nat, what would be one thing that you could Control Alt Delete if you could?
Oh no.
Yeah. You don't have to give an explanation, just be the one thing.
Yeah, you can just give us one thing and that's it.
Yep.
God, I don't know. I feel like I should have had some warning. It's not even in the title. And yet. Oh.
It can be life or cosplay or anything else related.
Well, it's gonna be both. Not knowing what the weather is.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. I've been Lydia.
And I've been Siobhan.
And our guest today has been Nat Cosplay Choreo. You can find Nat at cosplay_choreo on Instagram and cosplay choreo on Twitter. And she's also on Facebook, TikTok. Anywhere else?
I have a YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah, that's where most of my performances go first, I think.
Yes, if you want to know what we've been talking about for the last hour, go and watch the entire history of Nat's performances on YouTube.
Yeah. Is that also at Cosplay Choreo?
I think it's Cosplay Choreography.
And you can find us at Control Alt Cosplay on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Tumblr. And you can listen to the podcast at Control Alt Cos on Spotify and YouTube, or ad-free on Patreon. Next time, our guest will be Shan of Shandelions, and that's coming out on the 29th of July. Enjoy this sneak peek, and we will see you soon.
Editor Sib just popping in here to say that date is completely wrong, and it's actually the day this episode goes live. Our next episode is out August 12th. We'll see you then.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Although Dwight from The Office would be like quite slay, so.
I mean, honestly, he's serving. I'm not going to say the word I was going to say. He's serving on a daily, is what he is.
I see what you're going to say.
I've never seen The Office, I don't know what he dresses like.
He dresses in beige suits. Like, that's it. But if it was worn on a hot woman, you know that it would be a slay.
Yeah, fair.
He wears like a yellow, like, button-up shirt.
Oh, he does,
and, yeah.
The serial killer glasses, they are actually in fashion, and they have been in fashion for quite a while. So
the Jeffrey Dahmer look. Yeah.
Exactly, he predicted it.